That's off, that's off, that's off. That's on. And that appears to be live. All right, I think we're good to go. Hello, Shadowcat back with more Pathfinder and Starfinder 2nd Edition. Yes, we're still working on learning this because it is not as easy as I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, it kind of is. There's a lot to go over today. We got a good start last time working on basic character creation. There's some things that were kind of interesting, difficult to learn, but that's kind of because I learned that that 2nd edition, and I can really just say 2nd edition now because Pathfinder and Starfinder basically run on the same rules. They just have different equipment and class lists. But either way, they have really boiled down the entire game to a single mechanic. And I don't think that's necessarily for the best. But I guess we'll get into that when we get into that. So yeah, we're gonna get into this and pick up where we left off last time. But before we do that, of course, if you're new here and you haven't subscribed already, do that. Hit the bell icon that we get notified every time the videos come out. If you know somebody else is also into tabletop gaming, specifically the Pathfinder Starfinder setting, then share this video with them. Otherwise, you like me, you like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below, or I would prefer, if you're going to do all that, join the Discord. I have a Discord. It's linked down there somewhere. Do that, and you can come and play games with us. We have a game that is currently about to wrap up here, not too long. I have a Warhammer 40k Genestealer game that's going to be coming in very soon, not to mention any other games that you might want to play. So, if you want somebody to play with, come play with us. Okay? Just come play with us. You'll enjoy it. Oh, and I suppose I should mention, you don't even need prior experience. I mean, maybe people are not wanting to join because they're like, oh, I've never played Starfinder before. I have been doing this for over 2 decades. I have onboarded so many players. I'm really good at it. So, if you want to come play with people, if this is going to be like your social event for the week, come do it. You won't regret it. Anyway, getting back to the game. So I do see that that Blizz is in. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you here. I guess it's just you and me for right now. Hopefully other people will show up later. Anyway, last time we were here, I may as well go ahead and bring this stuff in now. We started working on character creation. Now, for character creation, I'm modeling it after their own character sheet, which they have right here. And I'll be honest with you, it's a really nice looking character sheet. Everything's very neat, very orderly, very readable. Somebody did a really, really good job on this. Mine leaves something to be desired. But don't worry, I'm going to make it look good later. I will. Getting into it, though, I got really kind of hung up on the whole, how does all of this proficiency stuff work? Because when you look at the character sheet, proficiency dominates everything. Like, even your attributes up here. It used to be that when you would make your character, and this is old school Dungeons and Dragons, the first thing that you would do is that you would roll your ability scores, and that was done 4d6, keep the top 3 dice. And then, depending on what it was, you would get a bonus for it. If you had a 12-13, you got a +1, 14-15 was a +2, 16-17 was a +3, 18-19 was a +4. And so on and so forth. And it worked really well. Pathfinder decided they were going to simplify that and just skip the whole numbers thing in conversion. Just put in what the bonus is. Honestly, I get it. I mean, the actual numbers really didn't do that much work. The only thing you cared about was the bonus that you got from them. So, yeah, I understand why they did this. It is probably the only thing that I feel like I can praise right now, because everything else is just... wow. So, getting into how this works. The first thing that I want to look at is... did I have it in here somewhere? How to play, getting started... I don't remember where it was. Was it in the rules index? No, I don't remember exactly where I found it. Either way, somewhere in here they talked about proficiency. And I don't remember where that was. However, like I said, proficiency dominates everything. And I'm going to go back to the sheet again, because when we look at proficiency, proficiency is what you get for all of your armor classes. You get proficiencies for your saves. You get proficiencies for all of your skills. You get proficiencies for your attacks. You get proficiency for your perception, which, you know, technically is a skill, but I guess they kind of made it their own separate things. Anyway, the proficiency system dominates everything, and I think that this is the first poor decision that they've made. And let me explain why. So, traditionally speaking, if you had a fighter and a wizard, okay? I'm going to move over here so that I have a little bit of space to work. I'm going to put down here, I'm going to have fighter and wizard, okay? So, fighter and wizard. Actually, I may not want to put that there. I'm going to put it right here. Can I spell my own class? Okay, so fighter and wizard. I'm going to make them both level 10. Okay? I'm going to make them both level 10. Now, when we're looking at fighters and wizards level 10, the first thing that we're going to notice is that the fighter is going to have more hit points. Okay? Because the fighter will have a... depending on what we're playing... and I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to make this as extreme as I can. I believe the fighter gets a D10. So D10 hit die. And the wizard... actually, no, I'll go with Pathfinder and so the wizard gets a D6. Okay, wizard gets a D6. So, by virtue, the fighter should automatically have 40% more hit points on average than the wizard. Give or take. And that much, I believe, has remained true. If I look down here, as a wizard, I get 6 plus my Constitution modifier. If we come over here to a fighter, fighters get 10 plus your Constitution modifier. So, that much remains true. Then, base attack bonus. So, for a fighter, your base attack bonus is 1 per level. Okay, which is, you know, understandable, because fighters are going to want to fight, and they got to fight good, okay? It's all about stabbing things. Wizards, on the other hand, have a base attack bonus that is roughly 1 every 3 levels. And the reason being that, well, I mean, they don't need it. Technically, it's not that. Technically... well, no, I guess it actually kind of is that. As I say, technically they get a 30 or 1/3, so yeah, it's 1 every 3 levels. So, right off the bat, you can tell one of these people wants to be in a fight, one of these people does not want to be in a fight. Now, for a fighter, they are going to get armor. Okay? And traditionally speaking, that is going to be light, medium, heavy, and shields. Proficiency in all of those. The wizard will get armor proficiency in clothing. And that's about it. Which is to say none. Okay, they don't have any armor. They're wizards. And in previous editions of Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, not only did wizards not have a proficiency in armor, but they didn't want it, because armor came with a spell failure chance. And the last thing that you, as a wizard, want is for your spells to fail. It is kind of the one thing that you do. And JP made it. Hello, JP. You are late. You brought cookies, right? I haven't had breakfast yet. So anyway, already we can see that there is a pretty stark diversion between a fighter and a wizard, which is good. There's a reason why you want both in your party. Okay, they are two sides of a coin. Opposite, but needed. The reason why I put this in here is because these are the two most basic functions of an adventure. Yes, you're going to have skills and spells and feats and everything else, but primarily, every character is going to need in battle offense and defense. Now, for the fighter, their offense and defense is in their equipment. Okay? And there's their base attack bonus, which is again tied to their level. So a fighter at level 10 will have a base attack bonus of 10, which, by the way, every 5 base attack bonus, you get an extra attack. So as soon as their base attack bonus hits 6, they get a second attack at a +1. And Pathfinder 2 has actually kind of kept that, but we'll get into that later. It's not important right now. The wizard, however, at level 10, since they only get 1 every 3rd level, they're going to get 1 at 3, 1 at 6, 1 at 9, and since we always round these things down, that means that a level 10 wizard will have a base attack bonus of 3. Which sounds sad, but at the same time, you know, you're a wizard. If you have to punch something, you have done something very, very wrong. So why do I bring this up? I bring this up because in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, proficiency kinda rules everything. And now I kind of wonder where that page was, because I really do kind of need that. Hold on, let me find out where this is. No, go away. Let's see. Pathfinder 2E proficiency. Chapter 1, playing the game, key terms. Okay. Chapter 1, playing the game. Key terms, here we go. Attribute modifier, background, penalties, currencies. Is alphabetical? Seems to be. Role-playing proficiency, here we go. Okay. Perfect, this is what I wanted. This is the section that we want right here. So, proficiency is a system that measures the character's aptitude in a specific task or quality, and it has 5 ranks: untrained, trained, expert, mastery, and legendary. Proficiency gives you a bonus that's added when determining the following modifier statistics. And this is why it's kind of crazy. AC attack rolls, perception, saving throws, skills, the effectiveness of spells. That is basically everything. If you are untrained, your proficiency bonus is +0. If you are trained, expert, master, or legendary, your proficiency bonus is equal to your level, +2, 4, 6, or 8, respectively. Now, I need to really put that in context. Remember how we were looking at the fighter and wizard here, and the fighter has their choice between, you know, light, medium, or heavy armor plus shields. The wizard has basically nothing. That means that obviously both of these characters are going to have their dexterity bonus, and let's make their dexterity bonuses equal. Okay, a +2 or a +3. Probably a +3, because the fighter wants to be agile in combat, and the wizard doesn't want to get punched in the face. So dexterity is equal. It really falls down to their armor, to which a fighter might take light armor if they wanted to remain dexterous, which their light armor is going to give them a plus, usually 1 to 4. Light armor doesn't usually go higher than a plus 4. Medium armor usually runs from about a plus 2 to a plus 6. And then heavy armor usually runs from about a plus 4 to a plus 8, sometimes higher, depending on what it is. And the wizard, of course, gets just their clothing, which means they don't get anything. Meaning that a fighter could take heavy armor and have an armor class of 20 plus. Okay? They could do that. Not to mention shields. If they take a big shield, they can buff their armor class even higher and play defensively. Wizards don't get that. Wizards can get spells that'll do things like that, but they don't get that. Now, in Pathfinder 2, because, and let me go back to the character sheet for a moment, because your armor class is tied to whatever your proficiency is in these armors, either unarmored, light, medium, or heavy, it means that my level 10 fighter and my level 10 wizard are both going to get a plus 10 to their armor class. It means that unarmored, and by the way, just coming back to look at this, the wizard, when we looked at this, the wizards they're untrained in all armor, but they are trained in unarmored defense. Okay, that makes sense. So again, when we come back here and we look at the character sheet, unarmored defense is right here. So my wizard is going to get trained in that. And that means that my wizard will get a plus 2 from the training and plus 10 from the level. Also plus 10 from base, because coin toss to hit. Also my dex modifier, which we agreed would be about a plus 3. 10 plus 3 is 13, plus another 10 for level is 23, plus another 2 from proficiency is an AC of 25. 25! For a wizard! No spells cast, standing naked in a field. Let's compare that to the fighter, okay? Because the fighter, when we look at this... Go away, I don't want that. The fighter, when we look at their proficiencies, attacks, defenses, trained in all armor, and trained in unarmored defense. That means that the fighter at level 10, with the same dexterity, is going to get 10, plus dexterity, that's 3, plus level, that's 23, plus unarmored defense, 25. The fighter has the same armor class as the wizard. Standing there naked. Okay, but you might be saying, well, that's kind of how it would work in Pathfinder 1 as well. And you'd be right, okay? Because at this point, both of them are relying on their dexterity. So why don't we add in the missing component? Armor. This is armor. Okay? And it's only showing me 33 results. I guess that's all we really get. But we've got unarmored armor, which is kind of weird. There's a gi, scroll robes, or just plain unarmored, I guess. I don't know why that needed a category, but I guess it did. But let's scroll all the way down to heavy armor, because I want to look at this. Okay? The heaviest armor in the game. Full plate armor. It's been the standard for heavy armor forever. Full plate heavy armor gives you an armor class bonus of 6. That's it. Just 6. So, if I were to put my my fighter in heavy armor, first off, this column right here, no, hold on. Oh, Dex Cap. Dex Cap is this column. So first off, the dexterity cap for full plate armor is 0, which means that we're automatically losing our dexterity bonus there. So take 25, 25 down to 22. But then we get to add our heavy armor, that's plus 6, which brings us up to a 28. My fighter in full plate armor has an armor class of 28. My wizard, standing naked in a field, has an armor class of 25. And you may begin to see my problem with the proficiency system. Because this is bad. Why would you even bother to wear armor? Really, why? Why would you bother wearing armor at all in this game? What is the point when somebody can literally walk in the buff and have an armor class higher than yours, potentially wearing heavy plate? I don't like the system. And this is not a matter of just, oh, but you'll get used to it, okay? It's new, you don't know it, it's fine, it's fine. No, this is bad. And I understand why they did it. When Paizo made 2nd edition, they were really chasing after what Dungeons & Dragons was doing with 5th edition. And 5th edition was marketed as the Dungeons & Dragons for all. They vastly simplified most of their game mechanics, and they scripted a lot of what needed to be done. Going back to my problem with the classes and races telling you, well, if you pick this, you probably want to do this, or you likely enjoy this, and you would probably do this during your downtime. No. I understand what you're doing, but it's wrong. But this is the core of the entire game. This is just how the proficiency system affects armor. But this same proficiency system affects everything else. Remember how we talked about the base attack bonus? How the fighter is going to get 1 base attack bonus per level, whereas the wizard is only going to get 1 base attack bonus every 3 levels. Well, let's not forget that when we look at the character sheet and we come down to weapons, we got the name of our weapon here. The amount of damage it does goes in here, I think. Maybe not. I'm not even sure. Oh no, damage goes over here. But here we go. Strength is obviously your strength bonus. Proficiency, meaning we're using the same proficiency for this. If we look at the fighter, attacks, expert in simple weapons, martial weapons, advanced weapons, and unarmed attacks. That means that my fighter, if we're just using unarmed attacks, they're going to get 1d20 plus their strength. And let's assume that their strength is, plus 4, because they're a fighter. Probably should be tough. So it's going to be 4 plus, because they're an expert in unarmed attacks, their level. So 4 plus 10 is going to be 14, plus expert in unarmed attacks is another plus 4, so plus 18 on their attack. Now, for anybody who's played Pathfinder 1 or Dungeons & Dragons anything before 5th edition, plus 18 is like, wow! That's insane! I mean, if you're playing anything that's, I suppose, not a fight or not one of the combat classes. If you're a combat class, then I guess it's not that crazy. But still, plus 18. Now, let's look at the wizard. Let's look at the wizard. So, attacks. I am trained in simple weapons and I am trained in unarmed attacks. That means that if I'm a wizard, I probably don't have any strength, so no bonus there. But because I am trained in unarmed attacks, if I go to punch somebody, it is a plus 12. 10 from my level, and then 2 from being trained. So I have a plus 12, the fighter has a plus 18, and half of that only comes from the fact that they're stronger than I am. This isn't working for me. How is a wizard almost on par with a fighter? It doesn't seem right. I don't like it. And again, we're getting into these big numbers because proficiency uses your level as a static improvement. It means that yes, my wizard has 25 armor class. The fighter, also standing there naked, also has 25 armor class. However, when the fighter has a plus 18 to an unarmed attack and the wizard has a plus 12 to an unarmed attack, the wizard is hitting for like about 40% of the time, and the fighter is hitting about 80% of the time. Maybe 75, maybe 70. I'm not exactly sure on the math. I can't do that or present percentages in my head like that. The point is, though, that honestly, I feel like they're using levels just to inflate the numbers. You could, I think, just as easily remove level from proficiency, and I think the game would function just fine. The other thing that I don't like is that because it uses level as a static multiplier or a static modifier, it means that every single encounter is basically predetermined. Whoever is the highest is going to win, at least above a certain threshold. And there are good and bad things to that. There are good things about this because you typically want your higher level characters to feel like higher level characters. But you also don't want them to be absolutely infallible. Like, for example, my wizard, standing there naked at level 10, has an armor class of 25. That means that a character who is level 1 cannot actually lay a finger on my wizard unless they roll a natural 20. Think about it. It means that their attack bonus is going to have to be 5 or better. And even if it's 5, they would have to roll a natural 20 for that. So, if they have incredible strength, maybe they have a plus 4 in their strength, plus 1 base attack bonus, plus their training, I suppose, in whatever they're doing. So that's maybe a plus 7 at level 1. They have a 10% chance to actually hit. And every level that they gain 5%. But that's just weird. So my wizard, just by virtue of being a higher level, is nearly impossible to hit. And I'm sure that somebody out there is going to say, yeah, that's how levels work. Well, that may be true, but it's not realistic. To which I'm sure somebody else will say, yeah, it's fantasy. It's not supposed to be realistic. Okay, I'll grant you that, but if that's what you wanted, go read a book. Or go watch a movie. Because, frankly, if all you wanted was for your outcomes to be predetermined, then, again, why are you playing the game? The only thing you're really hoping for at this point is that somebody either rolls a 20 or a 1. I don't like the proficiency system. It carves too much into stone. And hello, PC, it's good to have you here. We're ranting this morning because I've learned the proficiency system and I don't like it. So, that's what I was struggling with last time, and that's what I've learned since then. The proficiency system is just, it's bad. It's simple, I will give you that. If you were to hand this to pretty much anyone with a half an hour of work, okay, just a half an hour, you could have them understanding how to build and play your character so long as they understand this one mechanic. But it's bad. And let me explain this to you in a different way, okay? See, I've been talking mostly about one PC versus another PC. Not the PC that just joined. I mean player characters. But let's look at some of these skills, because let's look at this. I want to look at my soft skills. Deception, diplomacy, and intimidation. Alright? These are very important skills that everybody should have. You should have at least one of them, because you need to have a non-violent way of resolving things. You always have the option of violence afterwards, but you need to have at least something non-violent. But let's take our level 10 characters again, okay? Because diplomacy, deception, intimidation, these are all charisma, so we can assume that, charisma being equal, we'll just ignore this. Again, we get back to proficiency. If your proficiency is your level, that means that our characters are going to get plus 10 to these already. And the fact of the matter is, I think you're going to be able to walk in and just kind of steamroll over any of the NPCs in the area. And maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, if I think about it, it's not that unlike Pathfinder First Edition. If you were putting maximum ranks into your soft skill every level, yeah, technically you would have 10 ranks in that skill. Alright, never mind. I'll give this one a pass. I just feel like it's a little overpowered. I guess it's not that overpowered. Not for skills, anyway. My argument still remains for armor class. And for the attacks. For skills, no. That one actually works. I can't complain about that one too much. So yeah, I'm not digging it. But alright, enough ranting about this. Let's get back into actually learning how all this gets put together. Because otherwise, I'm going to keep going on. Alright, so the last time we were here, we started working on my character. Level 12 Wizard. My heritage is Catfolk. My background is a student of magic. My class is a wizard. We went through all of that. What we haven't really filled in is kind of everything else. I've got some of my my ability scores filled in here. Technically speaking, I do get 4 more. Because that's how it works. Playing the game. If I come up here to ability scores, right? Or no, attribute modifiers. Attributes are described full on later in this chapter. Character creation. So yeah, right here. Attribute modifier overview. You get your ancestry, you get your background, you get your class, and then you get 4 free boosts after everything else. So technically speaking, I need the intelligence. I'm going to put 2 into here. I'll make that a +4. Actually, I don't even know how spell learning works in this game yet. Because in previous versions, you actually had a limit on the spells that you could learn. you needed to have a minimum amount of intelligence in order to learn spells. And it was really simple. It's basically just the spell level plus 10 to match your intelligence level. Which means that if you had an intelligence of 10, you could learn cantrips, but cantrips only. And if you wanted to someday cast Wish, you needed an intelligence of 19. I don't exactly know how that works here. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 points into Wisdom for will saves. Actually, no, 1 point into Wisdom, 1 point into Constitution. So at least I have something for my my Fortitude save as well. All right, so armor class, just because it's unarmored, I have a +2 for my dexterity, and I have a +2 from unarmored, which means that I have an armor class of 14. However, I have not yet added in my level. Remember, your proficiency is going to be trained. So I'm going to put trained there because it's not just a +2, it's 10 +2. Which means it's 10 plus my dexterity modifier, 12, plus my level, 12, is 24, plus being trained is an armor class of 26. Again, this is insane. My Fortitude save? Well, let's not forget, these are all proficiency. It's not +2, it's my level +2. Plus 14. Oh, but I also gave myself 1 Constitution. Plus 15. My Reflex? Well, I get 2 from Dexterity, plus I'm trained in Reflex. So it's 12 plus 2. Plus 2 is going to be 14. Right? No. 14 from that, plus my dexterity, 16. Let's say, how can it be lower than Fortitude? Now, because I am a wizard, I am an expert in will. I believe that's how it worked, right? Saving throws. Yeah, trained in Fortitude, trained in Reflex, expert in will. Again, 14, or no. 1 wisdom, plus level is 13, plus expert is going to be plus 17. This is madness. Okay, so there's those. As far as skills go, I need to know exactly which one of these I had proficiencies in. So going back to my race, my ancestry. Attribute boost, wisdom, attribute flaw. Okay, no skills from this. Student of magic. Trained in arcana, nature, and occultism. So let's just go ahead and color these. Arcana, nature, and occultism. Oh, occultism or religion. Fine, whatever. And academia lore. Okay, so we'll do that. Stop changing the color of my text when I do this. So I get those already as training. And honestly, maybe I should be color coding these because I can't just make them green. Okay, hold on a second. So we have untrained, trained, expert, master, legendary. Let's color code these, because I like color coding things. Untrained can be red. trained can be orange. Expert can be yellow. Master can be green. And then legendary can be blue. Okay? I love color coding things. Which means that these all need to be orange. So there we go. Now we know that we're trained in those. And that's what we get from the Student of Magic. If we come to the Wizard and we look at our proficiencies, we are going to be trained in Perception. That's not a skill anymore, though. Hold on. Trained in Arcana. Okay, so that means that Arcana is going to go up by 1. We make that one yellow. And then, trained in a number of skills equal to 2 plus your Intelligence modifier. So, since my Intelligence modifier I made into a 4, that means that we get 6 more skills. That's actually a lot. Actually, I'm curious now. What does the Rogue get? Because the Rogue traditionally has more skills than anyone. Initial proficiencies, skills. Aha! Trained in a number of skills equal to 7 plus your Intelligence modifier. So it is true, they still get more skills. Alright, I mean, that makes sense. It's good to see that some things have stayed the same. So I get to pick 6 of these. What am I taking? Well, you definitely need to have at least one soft skill. So I guess we'll do Diplomacy. Nobody wants to starve to death. Survival's always useful. If you are starving to death, being able to not die is useful. We'll take Medicine. If you want to get by, Society's not bad to have. And I still need 2 more. Lore Academia does not honestly seem all that useful. Crafting is always useful, though. And if I was going to pick anything, maybe another rank in Arcana. So we'll turn all of these to orange, and I'll take one more rank in Arcana, pushing that one up to green. And that means that we can go ahead and put our bonuses in for all these. So, Untrained is +0, Trained is +2, +4, +6, and +8. And since every single one of these, as far as I know, is your level plus whatever it is, the real question then that I have, do you get your level added to your untrained? Because if that's true, then I don't even know what we're doing here. So, character creation. No, I want to go backwards. Proficiencies. Let's look at that again. Okay, it doesn't say much. Proficiency assistant that measures this. We read this already. It is a bonus that's added. If you are untrained, your proficiency bonus is +0. If you are trained, expert, master, or legendary, your proficiency bonus is equal to your level +2, 4, 6, or 8. I'm going to take this exactly rules as written. Okay? Exactly rules as written. When it says that your proficiency bonus, if you are untrained, is +0, I am going to make that an automatic 0. Which means acrobatics, athletics, deception, intimidation, the other lore, all of these, anything in white, actually, I'm just going to leave those as white. That's actually a really good idea. No fill for untrained. Anything in white just gets 0, and so everything else is going to be your level plus whatever. And JP says, the neighbor likes to talk. PC says, so Shadow visited you? I don't... Do I talk that much? Actually, I'm doing an entire 2-hour live stream. That's actually a, that's a fair point. Never mind. I'm not sticking my head in that bee's nest. Okay, anyway. So that means that for Arcana, my bonus is just going to be a plus 18. And then for everything orange, it's a plus 14. I'm just going to copy and paste, 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 paste. There we go. So, there's my skills, all set. Again, I'm still really not fond of the whole proficiency system, but these actually do kind of look in line with what a Pathfinder 1 character would have, with a little bit more variation. I mean, these actually might be a little bit low. Technically speaking, I don't believe we get class bonuses anymore. So there's that. And I also have not added in I haven't added in any ability scores yet. So like Arcana is a an intelligence bonus, I believe. Let me go look at that. Actually, let me move this over a little bit. First off, let me just go ahead and format paint this. And then let's go ahead and look at the skills. Let's see. Character creation. Skills. Here we go. Full rules on skills. Key attributes. Can I get key attributes? I just wanted a list. Actually, is it on the character sheet? It is. So, acrobatics, I know most of these. So, it's going to be dex, intelligence, actually, athletics is going to be strength. Crafting is intelligence. The soft skills are all charisma. Lore is going to be intelligence. Medicine is wisdom. Nature is also wisdom. Let's see. Occultism is intelligence. Performance is, of course, charisma. Religion is going to be wisdom. Ah, that's interesting. That's actually very interesting. I was kind of wondering why they had occultism and religion. One of them is going to be an intelligence check. One of them is going to be a religion check. Which means that I made, unintentionally, but I made the right choice there. Obviously, my intelligence is much better than my wisdom. Although whether occultism is necessarily more useful, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what occultism really means in this context. We can look at that in a moment. Society is an intelligence. I can understand that. Stealth is dex-based, always. Survival is wisdom-based, and thievery is also dex-based. Now, in theory, I still get my ability score bonus to all of these. So, for example, anything strength-based is going to be a +0 because I don't have any strength. However, dexterity. My athletics should be a +2. My arcana is going to get a +4, so that's going to be a +22. My crafting goes up to a +18. My deception is a +1. My diplomacy is a +15. And I'm off the screen right now. My intimidation is a +1. My lore, academia, goes up to a +18. The other lore is not filled in, so it technically doesn't have anything. It doesn't do anything. PC says, I do talk a lot, but it's a good thing. Fair enough. Okay, I have a +1. I have a +1 in wisdom. So that's a +15. +15. Occultism gets a +4, so that's a +18. Performance will be +1. Religion will be +1. Society is intelligence, that's a +18. Stealth is a +2. Wizards are not generally stealthy, but you could be. You do get free, or I could put those points into any skill that I wanted. Survival is going to be a +16. No, 15. And thievery is a +2. And it is kind of interesting because in Pathfinder 1, your class skills were predetermined for you. This does give you a little bit, just a little bit, of flexibility that you didn't have before. It's a little bit like the armor, because I went back and looked at the armor, and we can look at that again. With the armor, we have many headings, but one of them is not spell failure chance. They've done away with that entirely, which means if you wanted to be a heavily armored war wizard, that is now an option. I mean, it technically was always an option before, but there was always a chance that any spell you're casting failed. Nobody did that just because it wasn't practical. So now, being a war wizard, assuming of course that you have the strength to wear the armor, you can. And Blizz is leaving. Well, Blizz, we're sorry to see you go. However, you take care, and hopefully we'll see you back here next week. Alright, so, getting back to the wizard now, because we got skills pretty much done. And they do look pretty good. They do look pretty good. So the next thing is to do is to then look at the actual wizard itself. And for that, I wrote out this thing over here. Because I was looking at the way they did the actual sheet, and this is what it looks like. Ancestry and general feats, and then class abilities. We've got ancestry and heritage abilities, ancestry feat, background skill feat. For me, the feat, I suppose, is land on your feet. I'm not positive. We could look that up. I don't really need this armor page, so we'll use this tab. Feats. And there's a lot of them. We're not going to spend a lot of time. I just want to see if there is a land on your feet in here. Wow! Load the remaining 5,718. Do you remember how when I said that Pathfinder 1 was very overwhelming because it has about 400 feats? 5,700 across the core rulebook and all of the errata. That's... wow. Doesn't seem like that, though, the way I'm going through them. Land legs? Land on your feet is not an actual feat. I guess it occupies kind of the same role that a feat would, but it's not actually a feat. Which is fine. It's fine. We're going to leave it as is. Wow. 5,700. So, land on your feet, recognize spell. I've got this in two places because I had this under notes, but it comes with Student of Magic. So, recognize spell is in there, and that's fine. So there's my ancestry and general feats. And that's everything that I'm getting from level 1 just from that. I don't know that... Actually, you probably do get an actual feat at level 1. And apparently everyone else had the same response that I did. 5,700 feats. JP says, wow, and nope. PC says, that's not a small number. That's a very big number. That is a very big number. Fortunately, this new website does have... Oh, this is rules. Feats. They have these search bars on everything, and they do seem to work. At least they seem to work well enough. Sometimes the answers that they give back are a little bit weird. A little bit weird. There's also these headers up here that will help you that'll help you to kind of, cut everything down a little bit. Like, if I'm a wizard, my specialty is Arcana. I can click here, and here we go. Just Arcana skills. Everything here requires a prerequisite in Arcana. So that's nice. And, I mean, it's just cut down the list from 5,700 down to 11. It says right there, down to 11. That's handy. Okay, I like that. So, it's a very large number, but I think it'll be a manageable number. Anyway, getting back to the wizard. So now, I believe we're going to get into the actual wizardly things. Like, for example, class features. So, ancestry and background. We did that. Attribute boosts. We did that. Initial proficiencies. We did that. Wizard spell casting. Okay, now we're getting into, the actual stuff. Because it even says so right here. Ancestry and background. You get the benefits from your select ancestry and background. It's all the stuff that we just went through. So now we get into the actual wizard spell casting. Through dedicated study and practice, you construct spells with academic rigor by shaping arcane magic. You are a spellcaster, and you can cast spells of the arcane tradition by using the cast a spell activity. And this just says that you can cast cantrips, spells from these spell slots, and focus spells using the same process, but must expend the spell when casting a spell from a spell slot, and must spend 1 focus point to cast and focus a spell. Okay, we kind of get how that works. So it says, at the first level you can prepare up to 2 first-rank spells and 5 cantrip spells each morning from the spells in your spellbook, as well as 1 extra curriculum cantrip and 1 extra curriculum of each rank you can cast from your arcane school. We will get into that later. Prepared spells remain available to you until you cast them or until you prepare your spells again. The number of spells you prepare is called your spell slots. As you increase in level as a wizard, the number of spells you can prepare each day increases, as does the highest rank. We kind of get how this works. Some of your spells require you to attempt a spell attack to see how effective they are, or have your enemies roll against your spell DC, typically by attempting a saving throw. Since your key attribute is intelligence, your spell attack modifier and spell DC use your intelligence modifier. Now, I do not know exactly what that means. I suspect up here, because it says trained in spell attack modifier and trained in spell DC, that my attack modifier for my spells is going to be very similar to an attack modifier for anything else, just using my intelligence. It's going to be my intelligence, which is a +4. It's going to be then my proficiency, so my level, 12, plus my training, 2, and so 12 plus 2 plus 4 is a +18. And so that would be my spell attack modifier. Similarly, trained in spell DC means that it's going to be, I'm assuming... Wait, did it say down here? Spell DC, spell DC, spell DC. Doesn't say there's any baseline for that, so like the 10, it would also be an 18. Okay, so looking at the character sheet, do I have something on here for that? Yeah, class DC right here. Oh no, class DC. This would be spell DC, I think. Yes? No? Hold on. Trained in Wizard class DC. Okay, never mind. That is completely separate from the spell DC. Is there a spot for spell DC on here? I don't think so. So I guess it's just going to go up here in the class feats and features. So spell attack is going to be a plus 18, and spell DC is just 18. I assume. I think that's how that's going to work out. Alright, and as far as spell casting goes, that's fine. That's really all we need there. Next is the Arcane Thesis. We're not even there yet. So we're still looking at spell casting here. Heightened spells, I think we understand how heightening spells works. I don't need to go through that. If you don't understand it, that's fine. Cantrips. Some of your spells are cantrips. A cantrip is a special type of spell that doesn't require a spell slot. You can cast a cantrip at will, any number of times per day. A cantrip is automatically heightened to half your level, rounded up. This is usually equal to the highest rank of wizard spell slot you have. For example, a first level wizard, your cantrips are first rank. As a 5th level wizard, your cantrips are 3rd rank. However, what exactly does that mean? So usually when we're talking about spells may have additional power or effects depending on how they are heightened. And I spent a lot of time looking at this list because, oh my goodness, they have completely changed half the spells. Like for me, one of my favorite spells is Unseen Servant. I like it. It's a good spell. Unseen Servant is a level 1 conjuration. If we look here at the U's, there's only one spell that starts with U. It is Unbroken Panoply. So what happened to Unseen Servant? Is it gone? Well, as it turns out, no, it's not gone. But unless you were to read the entire arcane spell list, you might never find it. Because now, it's called Phantasmal Minion. And Phantasmal Minion just says you summon a Phantasmal Minion. But if you follow this link and look up what a Phantasmal Minion is, so now we're into the bestiary. It's a Phantasmal Minion. It's made of magical force. It cannot use attack actions. It has no weight. It can move and interact and do things like fetch objects, open, stuck, or unstuck or unlock doors, hold chairs, and clean. It's an Unseen Servant. They just changed the name because I guess they really don't want anybody from previous editions to play 2nd edition. I don't get it. But anyway, let's look at what upcasting a cantrip does. Do they have Ray of Frost? You know, very typical cantrip. And the answer is no. They don't have Ray of Frost. They have Read Aura and Root Reading. Okay. They have Frostbite. So, what is this? An orb of biting cold coalesces around your target, freezing its body. The target takes 2d4 cold damage with a basic fortitude save. On critical failure, the target also gains weakness 1 to bludgeoning until the start of your next turn. JP says, a Temu Unseen Servant. Yes, I agree. But now, upcasting. So, heightened, +1. For every level that we upcast this thing, the damage increases by 1d4 and the weakness on critical failure increases by 1. So, using the example they had for the wizard, this does 2d4 cold damage, but at level 3, it should get 2 additional dice, doing 4d4 damage. Which means that cantrips are going to get very, very strong. It means that a level 20 wizard could cast an absolutely apocalyptic spell. But if they didn't want to, their simple frostbite spell would be doing, well, 1 for every for every 2 levels. So that's a +10. 2d4 plus 10d4 is 12d4 damage. That is a significant amount of damage for a cantrip. And again, here's something that I do not understand. There is a trope, and if you're like me and you love TB tropes, there's a trope. It's called linear warriors and quadratic wizards. Now, if you're not a math person, that may not mean anything. A linear graph is a graph that has a straight line that just goes up at a set amount. A quadratic equation is a curved line. It starts off shallow, and then it curves upwards until it's nearly vertical. And what they mean by this is simple. At level 1, a fighter and a wizard may be the same level, but a wizard only has a handful of cantrips and a couple of level 1 spells. And once those spells are gone, the wizard is basically spent. But the fighter hasn't lost anything at all. And so for several levels, the fighter has a natural advantage because the fighter has stamina. And the wizard doesn't. And JP says, eyes glaze over. Well, this game has math. Get used to it. However, there comes a point, and that point changes depending on which game you're playing, but it's somewhere around the level 10 mark, where, actually I think it's more like the level 7 mark, where the wizard and the fighter are equal. Both of them have enough stamina and enough effect that they can be equals on the battlefield. The fighter is cutting things down with swords and axes, the wizard is shooting things down with missiles and flames, and they can basically stand toe-to-toe, back-to-back, and handle it. However, as they continue to level up, the wizard gains access to spells that will let them completely outclass the fighter. I mean, the fighter, sure, they might have multiple attacks per turn. Maybe they can cut down 2 goblins per turn, but the wizard will be able to chain lightning and wipe out an entire burrow with 1 spell. And so eventually, they simply get outclassed. What I'm seeing here is that these cantrips are going to become so powerful at high level that it's still going to be outclassing the fighter. Because at least previously, a wizard was restricted to, chain lightning is great, but you can only cast it so many times per day. In this case, however, though, if I'm a wizard and I prepare, not frostbite, I don't know, like cold, ignition? Snap your fingers and point to a target which begins to smolder. They make an attack roll against their AC, dealing 2d4 fire damage. Okay, so this is the fire version. And it does the same damage, it's just fire instead. My fighter, is going to be doing damage. I need to look at something. Real quick. I know that Pathfinder 2nd Edition is integrating elements of Starfinder, and Starfinder has very powerful weapons that level up as you level up. Did we do that in Pathfinder 2nd Edition? Okay, 1d6, 1d4, 1d6. $1d4, 1d8. Oh, I mean, these are our options, okay? Look at these numbers. A maul does 1d12 damage. The ogre hook does 1d10 damage. Do you see what's going to happen here at high levels? The fighter, still reliant on a weapon, maybe even a magical weapon, okay, maybe a magical weapon. The fighter is still going to be swinging around weapons that do 1d10 to 1d12 damage, maybe. Whereas the wizard can cast 14d4 damage every single turn. Why, if you are a fighter, would you even bother? For what does the wizard need you in the party? And this is the danger of scaling these things. Okay? I feel like nobody thought about this. The way it was before, Ray of Frost did 1d3 damage. Okay? And I was nice. If you didn't want a Ray of Frost, you could have a Ray of Flame, or a Ray of Acid, or whatever it happened to be. I was cool like that. But 1d3 damage, plus your spell, or plus your wizard level usually, up to a maximum, I think it was like of a +5, so 1d3 plus 5. That meant that if you ran out of spells, you still could use your cantrips to do damage, and you could still stand there toe-to-toe with the fighter. The fighter's going to be doing like 1d10 plus their strength every time they hit. But at least you as a wizard could still contribute something. Now, on the other hand, we're looking at this and it's like, what is the fighter contributing anymore? What are they even doing here? They're not even bodyguard material at this point. JP says fighters are needed to be arrow sponges. I'm a wizard player, okay? Even in Pathfinder 1st Edition, do you think I need a wizard to be an arrow sponge for me? No, I have spells for that. A simple shield spell. Level 1. It is a +4 against projectiles and can even block magic missiles. I don't need a fighter to absorb arrows for me, although it's funny, I will admit. This is so broken. And like, I should not be the one complaining about this. This is benefiting me extremely. But I am going to complain about this because I'm also the person who runs the game. And PC says, I want to make a wizard based on Aquaman. Then I can cast Ray of Rays. Okay, you can do that, but it's not actually a ray, it's just summon creature. And then you can throw them at whatever you want. Again, like, I shouldn't be complaining because, like I said, this benefits me, but this is so horribly broken. This is such bad design. All right, I'm walking away from cantrips for now. Spellbook. Every arcane spell has a written version which you record in your personalized book of spells. You start with a spellbook worth 10 silver pieces or less. Wow, spellbooks got cheap. They used to be a lot more expensive. Which you receive for free and must study every day to prepare your spells. It contains your choice of 10 arcane cantrips and 5 first-ranked level spells. You choose these from the common spells on the arcane spell list or from other arcane spells you gain access to. You get to add 2 first-ranked spells from the curriculum of your arcane school, except in the case of the School of the Unified Magic Theory as described in that school. Each time you gain a level, you gain 2 arcane spells to your spell book. Yeah, that's basically how it worked in Pathfinder 1, so I understand that. So yeah, 10 arcane cantrips. Cool. And 5 first rank spells. That's actually more than you used to get, but you also used to get bonus bonus spells for your intelligence. So that's fine. We'll go into spells later because that's a whole different can of worms. So looking at the sheet here, the spell attack and spell DC, that's spell casting. That is, yeah, right here, wizard spell casting. So arcane thesis then. Arcane thesis. Now this, if we scroll all the way to the top, arcane thesis has its own page. And it says, your arcane thesis. During your studies to become a fully fledged wizard, you produced a thesis of unique magical research. You gained the special benefit depending on the topic of your thesis research. The arcane thesis topics presented in this book are below. Your specific thesis probably has a much longer and more technical title, like On the Methods of Spell Interpolation and the Genesis of New Understanding of the Building Blocks of Magic. But these are the core concepts. And JP says, going back to the whole Ray things, that's going to summon Ray Charles. You say that like it's a bad thing. I mean, can you imagine Ray Charles, the Bard? Absolutely nobody is succeeding a will save against his seduction. Okay? It's not happening. Ray Charles, the Bard, is level 20. And now, I'm going to add him to my worlds. You've inspired me. I'm making Ray Charles the Bard. Is he blind? Yes. But where he's going, he doesn't need eyes to see. Alright, so let's look at arcane theses. Experimental spell shaping. Your thesis posits that the magical practice of spell shaping can be realized more efficiently by altering variables and parameters as you cast, imitating the wizards of long ago who had to work out their own spells themselves. This allows you efficient access to various spell shape effects. You gain 1 first-level spell shape wizard feat of your choice. At the 4th level, during your daily preparations, you can you gain a spell shape wizard feat of your choice that has a level requirement of no more than half your level, which you can use until the next daily preparations. What is spell shape? I suspect this is going to be meta magic. Actions with spell shape trait tweak the properties of spells. You must use a spell shape action directly before casting the spell you want to alter. If you use any action, including free or reactions, other than casting a spell, you waste the benefit. So when we look at them, it's just a list. Apparitions Quickening, Apparitions Reflection, Battlefield Arcana, Bizarre... Wait, I recognize some of these. Burning Spell... Coven Spell, Cryptic Spell, hold on. Familiar Conduit, Gusting Spell, Harmonized. Where's the S's? Steam Surging... Okay, I do believe that these are just meta magic feats, which is fine. I mean, meta magic deserves to be in here. I don't see the ones that I'm familiar with. Things like Still Spell, Silent Spell, which doesn't mean that they're not in here, it just means they probably changed the names of them, which just annoys me to no end. But yeah, okay, spell shape. I'll be honest with you, I was never really big into meta magic. I understand it, and I understand the benefits, but I never really liked using it because I liked my higher level spell slots to be for better level spells. Actually, is that how this works? Do you simply upcast for these? Let's just try Extend Spell. You call upon your blood's lineage of the ancients to extend your magic. When you cast a spell with a duration of 1 minute and single target, it lasts for 10 minutes instead. You can only extend a spell if you cast it from a spell slot lower than your highest level spell, and you can only have one active spell at a time extended in this way. Okay, so yeah, it kind of works the same way. Not exactly, but it kind of works the same way. Anyway, improve familiar attunement. You've long held that fine-tuning the magic that bonds a wizard and their familiar can improve their mystic connection, compared to the safe yet generic bond that most wizards currently use. You form such a pact with your familiar, gaining more advantages from it than most. You gain the Familiar Wizard feat. Your familiar gains an extra ability. It gains an additional extra ability when you reach 6th, 12th, and 18th levels. Your connection with your familiar alters your arcane bond class feature so that you store your magical energy familiar rather than use an item of your own. You can use the Drain Familiar free action instead of Drain Bonded item. Drain Familiar can be used at any time. An ability will let you use Drain Bonded item. Okay, so you can have a familiar and it can be better. I'll be honest with you. I do like familiars. However, I don't usually get a familiar just because I have trauma. Back in the days of 1st edition and 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons, familiars were a thing. However, if you had a familiar, and if your familiar died, it took another 24 hours to get a familiar back, which wasn't a huge problem. However, when your familiar died, you automatically lost 1 point of constitution permanently. There was no spell that could restore that point of constitution. And since familiars were extremely fragile, I always saw that as a really bad idea. Spell blending. You theorize that spell slots are a shorthand for an underlying energy that powers all spell casting, and you found a way to tinker with the hierarchy of spell slots, combining them to fuel more powerful spells. During your daily preparations, you can trade 2 spell slots of the same level spell rank for a bonus spell slot of up to 2 spell ranks higher than the traded spell slots. You can exchange as many spell slots as you have available. Bonus spell slots must be of the spell rank you can normally cast, and each spell slot must be of a different spell rank. You can also trade any spell slot for 2 additional cantrips, although you can't trade more than 1 spell slot at a time for additional cantrips this way. That is interesting. So that offers you a great deal of flexibility in casting. Trade 2 lower level spells for 1 higher level spell, or 1 higher level spell for 2 lower level spells. Or I guess just for 2 cantrips, but still. As we pointed out earlier, given how powerful the cantrips are going to be, holy hell. Spell substitution. You don't accept the fact that once spells are prepared, they can't be changed until the next day. And you've uncovered a shortcut allowing you to substitute new spells for those you originally prepared. You can spend 10 minutes to empty one of your prepared spell slots and prepare a different spell slot from your spellbook in its place. If you're interrupted, the original spell remains prepared and can still be cast. You can try to swap it out again later, but you must start the process over again. That would be really cool if it wasn't 10 minutes. I mean, wow. Otherwise, I'm really cool for it. I like it, but 10 minutes to trade your spell out. That's not really all that flexible. I mean, I guess it does technically work if you're out of combat. And then they have Staff Nexus. Your thesis maintains that early intense adoption of staves from the first days of study can create a symbiotic bond between spellcaster and staff, allowing them to create remarkable magic together. You form such a connection with your makeshift staff you built that you're ready to infuse any staff you encounter with greater power. This seems like the exact opposite of the improved familiar attunement. This one wants your arcane bond to be a familiar. This one wants your arcane bond to be an object. You begin play with a makeshift staff of your own invention. It has the magical trait and contains 1 cantrip and 1 first rank spell, both from your spellbook. During your preparations, you can expend one spell to grant the staff a number of charges equal to the spell's rank, which dissipate after 24 hours. While holding the staff, you can cast the spells it contains. A first rank spell consumes one charge, but the cantrip doesn't require any charges. If your staff is destroyed, you can create a new one over the course of 1 hour, though it has no charges. Okay, so it's basically a spell battery, which is cool. I like it. Arcane Bonds kind of do that already. So this isn't actually making your Arcane Bond better. It's almost like giving you a second Arcane Bond. During your daily preparations, you can merge your makeshift staff with any other staff in your possession, adding the 2 chosen spells to it. The staff gains charges from preparing it and from expending spells. Magic staves are described on the the staves page in the GM core. At the 8th level, you can expend 2 spells instead of 1 repairing any staff, adding additional charges equal to the combined ranks of the expended spells. Okay, so these are my options. There's not many of them. If I had to pick one, though, for me, I don't really care about the meta magic, so that one's out. I'm averse to having a familiar, so that one's out. Spell blending is cool. I like it. Spell substitution would be more useful if it didn't take 10 minutes. So it's definitely spell blending or staff nexus. I think I would go with staff nexus, honestly. So we'll do that. Staff nexus. And like I said, or like they said in the page, it should probably have a longer name. I can come up with a name later. But there we go. Staff nexus. So that is the arcane thesis. Now, back to wizard details. So, arcane thesis. Next is arcane school. Alright, let's take a look. Arcane school. Most wizards acquire their knowledge of spells from formal educational institutions, such as the Arcana Miriam or the Magambaya. At the first level, you choose your arcane school, which grants you magical abilities. You gain an additional spell and spell slot from the curriculum taught in the school you attended. Some wizards follow the school of unified magical theory, which attempts to forge a new school by studying independently and drawing information from a multitude of texts and tutors. Though wizard with this approach lacks a focus in formal training, they have greater flexibility. I do like flexibility. So let's take a look. Arcane schools. So, your arcane schools where you devoted yourself to the study of spellcraft, obviously. What do we get? Curriculum spells. You automatically add some of the spells listed in your school's curriculum to your spell book. At first level, you add a cantrip or two, or a cantrip and 2 first level spells. I read that wrong. At the first level, you add a cantrip and 2 first rank spells. As soon as you gain the ability to cast wizard spells of a new rank, choose one of the spells from your curriculum and add that rank to your spellbook. A superscript U indicates an uncommon spell. Your GM might allow you to swap or add other spells to your curriculum if they strongly fit the theme. Interesting. So we're not doing the traditional themes of enchantment, evocation, divination, illusion, necromancy, abjuration, transmutation, all of those. Spell slots. Each day you prepare an extra cantrip from your curriculum. You gain an extra spell slot for each spell, which I presume is automatically filled in by that school. Yeah. And school spells. School spells are a type of focus spell. It costs 1 focus point to cast a focus spell, and you start with a focus pool of 1 focus point. You refill your focus point during your daily preparations. You can regain 1 focus point by spending 10 minutes using the refocus activity to study your spellbook or conduct arcane research. Focus spells are automatically heightened to half of your level, rounded up, much like cantrips. They do not require spell slots, and you can't cast them using spell slots. Certain feats give you more focus spells, to maximize, or the maximum focus points you can hold is equal to the number of focus spells you have, but it can never be more than 3 points. There are additional rules for focus spells here. So let's take a look. Because these are like actual schools. The Red Mantis Magic School, the School of the Ars Grammatica, the School of Battle Magic, School of Civic Wizardry, the School of Gates, the School of Calistrade, the School of Magical Technologies, the School of Mentalism, the School of Protean Form, the School of Rooted Wisdom, the School of Thessalonian Rune Magic, the School of the Boundary, School of the Reclamation, and the School of Unified Magical Theory. These are like legitimate actual schools. So, the Red Mantis Magic School. While any thug can commit murder, proper assassination requires finesse and guile. Deep within the Crimson Citadel, the Red Mantis assassins have developed a specific selection of spells they teach to all magically capable members. These spells complement the assassin's clandestine and deadly methods. We now have magical assassins. The rogues are going to be pissed. Let's see. The School of Ars Grammatica. Runes and wards, numbers and letters, they underpin all magic, making them the logical subject for a wizard who studies fundamental forces. Perhaps you studied the Pathfinder Society schools, or Society's School of Spells or similar institution, but whether you're lacing your words with magic to compel others, casting wards around your workshop, or destabilizing the very structure of an opponent's spells, you know this unassuming school carries an elegant power. That has elements of, like, enchantment, counterspell. Interesting. The School of Battle Magic. Magic is power, and there's always those who will use power for the art of battle. You may study in the military of the nation at the brink of war. You summon the whirling energies that can lay waste to both soldiers and armies, while being sure not to neglect the arcane countermeasures for common tactical complications or the shields and defenses that keep combatants alive. Alright, sounds kind of like your typical evoker, although it does have some abjuration qualities. School of Civic Wizardry. I like it already. Whether you studied at the Maniquette's Ocularium or the Academy of Applied Magic, you learned that the fruits of arcane studies, like any other field, should ultimately help the common citizen. You've learned the humble art of construction, finding lost people and things, and moving speedily among buildings and moats. Yet these same arts can be turned to demolition, and constructs you animate to build bridges can just as easily tear them down. Cool. And taking a look at them, I see conjurations. I see evocations. Interesting. The School of Gates. Some are content to stay in place and let the world shape them, but you prefer to move at your own pace. You studied the ancient Idiera? I have no idea what that word is. I have never seen that before. And other structures to learn the magic of transposition, using your knowledge to move across great distances and even planes. With knowledge as your path and magic as your key, there's no door you can't open and no world you can't explore. That sounds a whole lot like conjuration. Specifically, teleportation. The School of Calistrade. Power and money are closely intertwined, and you recognize the potential for magic to assist in the pursuit of wealth and influence. Though you might study the school without joining the Prophets of Calistrade, most who do are either part of the organization or the local curse, and therefore used to the customs and culture of the Calistocrats. You deploy magic to help you see through illusions and trickery of other. At the same time, you push boundaries and exploit loopholes to get ahead of your competitors. So, looking at the spell list, I see divinations, I see enchantments, I see some illusions. Very interesting. The School of Magical Technologies. The height of the ancient Aslant, the study of magical technologies, better known as Magitech, was considered among the most prestigious of arcane specializations, and practitioners were both well regarded and well paid. While some Magitech specialists trained in academies or as apprentices, others studied at religious cloisters dedicated to the worship of Amaznan, a now dead god of invention and magic. Today, practitioners are likely to learn from scraps of ancient spellbooks, forgotten lore unearthed from Aslanti ruins, and from time-displaced graduates like the Anarith Zoralen. Modern Magitech schools exist today, divorced from their ancient Aslanti origins, but are no less prestigious, including the famed Clockwork Cathedral in Absalom and the temples of Brig, goddess of clockwork and invention. That's an interesting name right there. The Cathedral of Absalom. The reason why is because in the Starfinder universe, the Absalom station is the center of the civilized galaxy. Still, though, I like Magitech. Looks like it's got elements of conjuration, a little bit of transmutation. Very cool. The School of Mentalism. As a scholar, you know all too well the importance of a sound mind, thus you attended a school, like the Farseer Tower or the Stone of the Seers, and taught the arts of befuddling lesser minds with figments and illusions, or implanted sensations and memories. Sounds a whole lot like enchantment and illusion. I dig it. Vision of Death? Wow. You force the target to see a vision of its own death. It takes 8d6 mental damage with a will save. If the target is reduced to 0 HP by the spell, its vision becomes reality and kills it instantly. Wow, that is the first instant death spell I have found. Finally, we actually have something that does, like, decent damage. There's also Phantasmagoria. Does this do anything? You fill the targets with endless images, countless dreams, and lives colliding with each other. The onrushing information deals 16d6 mental damage, depending on the will save. What does it do, though? Critical failure. If the target takes double damage, is confused for 1 minute. It doesn't kill them. There's like a drought of lethal magic now. And JP says, whoa, power word kill? Believe it or don't, as far as I can tell, it doesn't exist. Like, seriously, I was looking through the spells a little bit, and I can't find it. There's like nothing in here. If I just look at kill, I'm going to get a whole bunch of skills. Word of revision. As good writers know, you shouldn't kill your protagonist before the story is complete. Yeah, that... Okay. There's Massacre. Instantly kill multiple creatures. However, there's Phantasmagoria, which I know is a 9th level spell, which means that this is also a 9th level spell. But, like, that's it. There's power word kill. Okay, so it is in here. They do have power word kill. But that's it. Massacre and power word kill. For Illusionist, we had Phantasmal Stalker. It was Phantasmal Stalker, wasn't it? I'm an Illusionist. I should know this. It's Phantasmal something. Phantasmal Affliction, Phantasmal Reminder, Asphyxiation. No, it wasn't that one. What was it? Okay, it wasn't Stalker. What was it? illusion. What was it? No, I can't remember it, and it's gonna drive me nuts if I don't find it. Shadow Conjuration, no. Phantasmal Killer, here it is. That was Phantasm. I was right. Yeah, Phantasmal Killer. You create a phantasm of the most fearsome creature the subject can form. Target gets a will save first to recognize if the image is unreal. If it fails, it touches the subject and they must succeed a fortitude save or die from fear. Yeah, so this was a level 4 illusion spell. And it's gone. It's just straight up gone. So I guess there are still some kill spells, but we don't have them anymore, or they're really high level. Like they're all level 9 now. I don't like it. Anyway, getting back to the schools. School of the Protean Form. The uninitiated often think of wizards as cerebral, focused on their studies more than their body, yet your School of Magic taught you the relationship between the two. Your magic, whether learned at the storied institution like Kintargo's Alabaster Academy or someplace more sinister like the Flesh Forges of Nex, focuses on the ways that living matter can be convinced into another shape for a time, allowing you to polymorph a seed into a vine, a human into a beast, or a harmless germ into a deadly toxin. So, transmutation. Okay, I was never big into transmutation. The School of Rooted Wisdom. You studied at the Magambaya, or under one of his traveling professors, learning the ancient magic of Galarian's oldest academy. Your curriculum is self-directed, allowing you to choose a branch of study and to personalize your learning. If you choose a School of Rooted Wisdom, you gain the below curriculum. Sure. Detect magic, alarm, dispel magic, safe passage, mount resilience, control water, true sight, energy, aegis, quandary. Pretty basic, actually. The School of Thessalonian Rune Magic. This curriculum, taught at a few select academies in New Thalassian, can be learned only by wizards with the Rune Lord class archetype. If you've begun studying with one of the 7 runes of sin, granting you the great power but at the cost of the anathematic magic, all rune lords below gain the below curriculum and arcane school spells. In addition, you must choose one of the 7 sins to specialize in. How fun! You add your sin spells to the initial school spells of your curriculum. The addictive nature of sin magic prevents you from using magic in other ways aligned with other sins, represented by that sin's anathema. So, very limited, but, I mean, that is the price of specialization. School of Boundary. Why use your magic to affect something as pedestrian as the physical world? Whether you studied at the College of Dimensional Studies in Katapesh or underground school in haunted Ustalov, you've turned your magic past the universe to the forces beyond, summoning spirits and shades, manipulating dimensions and planes, and treading in a place not meant for mortals. Sounds a whole lot like necromancy to me. The School of Reclamation. Whether it's been lost to war, abandoned during calamity, or simply buried by time, there is as much important knowledge to be found within the hidden corners of the world as in the schools and libraries of the Academy. You study the of magic in the service of rediscovering lost knowledge, for the Sikorus Reclamation has taught you that much that was once lost can still be found, but only if somebody is willing to seek it and retrieve it. You focus your magic on reaching the world's hidden and forgotten places, whether they are found in the distant ruins or lost in a memory, and bring that knowledge back. So, telekinesis, locate, mental probe, scouting eye. This is a lot of divination. Fair enough. And then, of course, last but not least, the School of Unified Magical Theory. You eschew the idea that magic can be neatly expressed by the teachings of any single school or college, instead directing your self-study to pick up the best of every school magic. In doing so, you'll find the truths that lie at the intersection of each school, coming closer to the ideal nature of arcane magic. One day, you'll uncover that a single elegant theory detailing all magic, perhaps a theory bearing your name. But until then, your studies continue. There is no curriculum. You don't have a set curriculum, so you don't have curriculum spells that can benefit from the abilities of that specifically affect them. Instead, you simply gain an additional first-level wizard class feat, and you add one first-rank spell of your choice to your spellbook to represent diverse studies. Your studies into the very nature of magic itself let you use it more efficiently. Instead of using the Drain Bonded item only once per day, you can use it one additional time per day for each rank of spell you can cast, recalling a spell of that rank each time. So, my bonded item is basically going to take the place of my school. And the initial, we get Hand of the Apprentice and Advanced Interdisciplinary Incantation. Hand of the Apprentice is fun. This is a fun spell. The range is 500 feet, targets one creature. You take advantage of one of the most fundamental lessons of magic to levitate and propel your weapon. You hurl a held melee weapon with which you are trained at the target, making a spell attack roll. On success, you deal a weapon's damage as if you had hit it with a melee strike, but add your spellcasting attribute modifier to the damage rather than your strength. On a critical success, you deal double damage and add the weapon's critical specialization. What I love about this is that wizards don't get a whole lot of spells. So they get daggers primarily. That means that you can throw a dagger 500 feet and then return it back to your hand. Hand of the Apprentice is insane. And they've only made it worse. Okay, if I was going to pick a school, it would probably be Unified. I don't like the idea of being kind of locked into anything, so School of Unified Magical Theory works for me. And then I can become whatever I want. Like, if I wanted to be just an illusionist, which I usually do, yeah. And JP says 500 feet. Yes, if you're looking at a battle map, that is 100 squares. By the way, do you want to know how absolutely insane that is? This isn't new. JP says, is that line of sight? I have to assume so. I have to assume you at least have to be able to see your target. But, let me go back to Wizard. Let me go back to Wizard, because guess what? In Pathfinder 1, you get an arcane school. And, if you take the Universalist, guess what? Look at that! There it is! Hand of the Apprentice. Let's read. You cause your melee weapon to fly from your grasp and strike a foe before instantly returning to you. As a standard action, you can make a single attack with a melee weapon at a range of 30 feet. This attack is treated as a ranged attack with a thrown weapon, except that you add your intelligence modifier in your attack roll instead of your dexterity. The damage still relies on strength. This ability cannot be used to perform a combat maneuver. You can use this ability a number of times per day equal to 3 plus your intelligence modifier. We went from 30 feet to 500. Again, this is one of those times where I have to ask, who actually developed this game? I mean, what were they thinking? I'm assuming it's line of sight, which just means that, like, if you're in a room, okay, congratulations, you can hit everything in the room. If you're outside, though, holy crap, you would need a telescope to hit somebody at that range. No, JP, I can be a melee sniper. I'm playing a wizard. If you want to be a sniper, you use a bow. And guess what? I bet that I can throw my knife farther than you can shoot your bow. You want to bet? You want to bet? Come on, come on. Let's come with me. Let's go look. Let's go look. Show filters and options. Actually, can I just type in a bow? Type in bow. Okay. Bolts, 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 bolts. Okay, hold on. Here we go. No, not a bow staff. I don't want that. Bow staff. Here we go. Hand crossbow. Very simple. Hand crossbow. Does 1d6 piercing damage with a range of 60 feet. A regular crossbow, which is two-handed, does 1d8 damage at a range of 120 feet. What else we got? Let's go ahead and sort this by range. What's the longest we can shoot? A repeating heavy crossbow has a range of 180 feet. Is that the best? That is the best. The longest shooting weapon that I see in here, the longbow has a range of 100 feet. The repeating heavy crossbow has a range of 180 feet. I can throw my knife. I can throw anything for that matter, so long as I'm at least trained in it. I can throw anything 500 feet. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna make an assumption here, okay? I'm gonna make an assumption here. Technically speaking, if the rules from first edition still apply, this is not a solid range. This is optimal range. If you shoot at something beyond optimal range, you take a penalty. Usually, and this is going to be deep in the rules, I don't know this off the top of my head. Usually, you can fire a weapon up to 10 range increments. So, for the repeating crossbow, it has an optimal range of 180 feet, but it should have a maximum range of 10 times that, so 1,800 feet. Which, makes sense, because if you talk to people who actually know bows and you tell them that a short bow can only fire 60 feet, they're probably going to look at you and say, I'm sorry, you think it only goes 60 feet? Especially like right here, a daikyu. Okay? The daikyu is a Japanese longbow, if you're unfamiliar. And where was it? I had it. Where was it? Here it is. Daikyu. The thing about the daikyu is that, number one, it is a very, very large bow. And it is one of the surviving samurai practices to this day. The people who specialize in the daikyu have absolutely incredible aim. At a range of, like what they're showing here, about 60 to 80 feet, they are capable of literally hitting the eyes on targets. It's incredible to watch. But I mean, if they can hit an eyeball at that range, how far do you think they can hit a general target? Which is why we had range increments. So the daikyu, again, if we're going by Pathfinder 1 rules, and I'll look it up later, should have a range of about 80 or 800 feet, which means that in that context, yes, my Hand of the Apprentice is like, okay, fine, whatever. The problem is, though, that in order to hit something at 800 feet, the daikyu should be shooting with a -10 modifier. So it's whatever your attack roll is, -10. My Hand of the Apprentice does not take a penalty. It's just, every time I look at this, like, who balanced this? Holy hell. Okay, anyway. School of Unified Magical Theory. Hand of the Apprentice. I can stab you from across the county. Alright. So that takes care of everything first level. And we spent like an hour and a half, well, no, about an hour doing that. Which is fine because there's a lot of things to learn here and a lot of things that just don't make any goddamn sense. And I still haven't picked an arcane bond. Actually, an arcane bond for me is easy. So going back to my sheet, that's that. I need to move these down. Because my arcane bond... It's going to be an object, and it's probably going to be a wand. I like magic wands. So, Arcane Bond. You place some of your magical power into a bonded item. Each day when you prepare spells, you can designate a single item you own as a bonded item. This is typically an item associated with spell casting, such as a wand, ring, or staff. But you are free to designate a weapon or other item. You can drain the bonded item as a free action. And JP says, these new rules are wild. I know. I'm flabbergasted by some of these. They have dialed everything up to 13, okay? 13. Spinal Tap's dials only go up to 11. I usually only go up to 12. Pathfinder 2nd Edition went up to 13. Okay? So, Arcane Bond. Actually, I could go with a wand or a ring. I might go with a ring. I'm gonna go with a ring. Rings are harder to lose. Bonded item, once per day, you can drain it. You expend the power in your bonded item during your current turn. You can cast one spell you prepared today and already cast without spending a spell slot. You must still cast the spell and meet the spell's other requirements. And of course, with the unified spell theory, I'm gonna get an extra one for every level because that's how that's gonna work. And JP says, seems like a just put flames on it mentality. Yeah, kinda. Okay, so, that is level 1. And that is all level 1. Just trying to understand how the wizard has changed, and boy has it changed. Fortunately here, the wizard is one of the more complex classes in Tabletop, given, its spellcasting nature. Wizards, druids, rogues, bards. I can only imagine the summoner is going to be equally complex because of its Eidolon. Those are going to be the more complex ones. Others, if you wanted to play, say, a barbarian, a fighter, gunslinger, something like that, those would be understandably a little bit easier. Although, just to point out, if we look at the fighter real quick, the fighter is going to get a reactive strike, fighter feats, and shield blocks, and then it's just going to get all kinds of fighter feats as well. It's got space up here just for fighter feats and fighter kits. Oh, no, wait, just one fighter kit. Never mind. I guess that's just what you start play with. So yeah, Wizard's going to be understandably a little bit harder than the rest of them, but because it is harder, it's going to help us learn more about the system. When we get back here next week, we're going to start with level 2, which means that we're going to start picking up skill feats and wizard feats. Now, the wizard feats are up here, and so I assume that this is where we have to choose from. There's 54 items here, and we're going to go through and learn those. As far as skills go, there's an entire thing here for skill feats. We kind of looked at this before. So we will pick a skill feat, we'll pick a wizard feat, and we're going to go on from there. We're going to go through all the feats. JP is going to be thrilled. And probably, I'm going to be a little bit worried about him. But all the same, we're going to go through all of them. So, if you're enjoying this, or if you're just confused and want to further understand how this works, then go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, that way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who is also into tabletop gaming, maybe they play 2nd edition, maybe they're trying to learn it too, send this to them. I'm sure we're all going to have a good time. Otherwise, though, if you like me, you like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below. If you want to do that, might I suggest you go one step closer and just join the Discord, because it's there. You can join the Discord. We play games, and I want you to come play games with us. So, come play games with us on the Discord. Otherwise, I missed a comment earlier. PC says in Crocodile Dundee, "That's not a sniper. Well, this is a knife." Can't believe I missed that one. Oh, I missed a chance to do my Australian accent for a while. I got to do my Crocodile Dundee or bring out my inner Hugh Jackman. I could do an entire stream like this. I won't, but I could. Anyway, thank you for coming out. I hope I'll see you next week. And until then, take care, you little blighters.